Okay, so I want to welcome you back. These podcasts are more about the national board process, and we wanted some podcasts to be available to those people that are thinking about the national board process. They don't really know for sure if they want to do this or if they don't want to do this. And so we've brought some different experts here today. And so we have Vanna, who is a brand new Nbct 2019, and Sherry Ring. Sherry is her area coordinator. And so we're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to let Vanna introduce herself.
All right, my name is Vanna Owens, and I teach 4th grade at Sequoia Elementary in Claremore. I've been teaching, this will be my 12th year. I've taught 5th grade for 8 years and 4th grade for the last 3 years, and I'm going to be in 4th grade again. So.
Okay, and Sherry?
I'm Sherry Ring. I've taught for 19 years, 5th and 6th grade, 4th grade, title math, and then just completed my first year in 3rd grade, which I'll be going back into, and I'm super excited about. I've been an NBCT since 2011, and I just submitted renewal, so fingers crossed for the fall.
So some people don't realize that National Board went through a huge overhaul. And if you talk to us old people, us experienced people, the process was really different. And so it's changed along the years. So a few years ago, they decided to roll out a brand new way. And there was 4 entries. And Vanna, you were in on that. So talk a little bit about that early process, about what that kind of looked like.
Yeah, so in 2015, I had been teaching about 6 years, and I decided I either wanted to get my master's or do National Board. I wanted to do something to better myself as a teacher and just do more, I guess. And because of Oklahoma having the scholarship for National Board, that sealed the deal that I would go for National Board. And so that's where I started. And little did I know, once I attended the first meeting, I was in the middle of the overhaul process. So at that time, only a few components were available. Not all 4 were out yet. So you couldn't do all 4 at once like you can now. So I chose to tackle 2 of them. So I did the assessment and component 2 that first year, and then got my scores, and they were okay. And so then the next year I tried 3 and 4. So I did my video and the assessment, or not the assessment, but the 4th component, which focuses on assessments. But then I took the next 2 years to redo a little bit. So I had to tweak. I didn't certify my first time around, and so I decided, I'll redo the assessment. That's less prep work as far as in the classroom. I can study, and I did very well on that, but it wasn't quite enough to bump me to certify. So I then redid the 3rd component, and that bumped me to certify my 4th year of the process. So it took me a while, but I finally got it.
And you did.
Yes.
And it's such a great celebration when that point comes.
Yes.
And everybody takes a different route. So just as a reminder, there's 4 components, and you can take them all. You have to take all of them in 3 years, but then there's an additional 2 years that you can retake some portions if it's not the passing score. So, and that's, and everybody, like I said, everybody takes different routes. And I always tell people that, after you're certified, you're certified. Nobody knows, this person's certified in this amount of time and got this score. We never even talk about scores. I think that's the great thing about National Board. I don't want to see scores. Now, I might look at scores if somebody's like, okay, I need some help. How do I look at this to raise this or what?
Yeah, they have a great calculator on the National Board website. That was my best friend. I would plug numbers in that calculator till all hours of the night, trying to figure out my best scenario as far as which ones to redo, which one I would get my most points from, as far as where I found my strengths to be, because that's something you have to look at too. If your strength, like I did really well at the assessment center, I tested very well, and that's what I got the highest score on. But a lot of people, that's not their area of strength. So that's why I chose to redo that one first, because I thought, well, if I did so well this first time, if I study even more and I focus on that one more, maybe I can do even better. And I did better at and so that was something that you can look at and kind of say, I don't do very well. I'm not a very good writing teacher, or I don't think my area of expertise is science, or whatever your area that you think is your weakness. You can kind of relocate your focus to an area of strength and kind of focus on that for what to redo if you have to redo something, I think.
So I know that. So you teach in Claremore, and so there were regional meetings closer to you because even Stillwater is a drive for you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about what happened at those regional meetings.
So I actually taught in Norman. I lived in Norman for a number of years, and I started my process living in Norman. And so when I lived there, my regional coordinator was Claudia. And so Claudia would have monthly meetings, and there was usually, 10 or 12 people there, and we would meet, and they would read my stuff. We would discuss the components, and there were people from all different areas because that was a very populated area of the state. And then halfway through the process, I moved to Claremore, and my regional coordinator became Crystal in Ulaga, and it was just she and I. So I got one-on-one help from her, which was really nice because by that point, I was on my redoing. And so I kind of knew the process, and so I could just take my rough work and say, okay, help me walk through this. And it was so nice because just one-on-one, she would meet with me, she would watch my videos with me, and we could talk through what exactly it was I was doing, because part of National Board is really looking at yourself as a teacher and recognizing the good and the bad, like, oh, I should have done this, or I would have done this differently, or I really did well at this, recognizing both sides of that coin and being able to write about it and state the facts of your experience. And she really helped me with that too. So she would meet with me whenever I needed the help.
Yes, and writing clear,
yes, concise,
convincing.
Yes,
consistent.
You'll remember all of those
buzzwords.
Yes, you will. So Sherry, tell us where you met Vanna and a little bit about the state side of the support.
Okay, I started coming to the state meetings when I became a regional coordinator, due to the fact those meetings focus on everybody in that room is working on that same certification area. So I kind of co-buddied with the trainer. And so then one meeting after Vanna was not a Nbct, we sat down, Kathy and I sat down with her, and we started looking, at the social studies portion, I think, of that. And she was wondering how she can make it better so she could become an Nbct. And so we were just sitting there talking it out. And then all of a sudden, the light bulb came on for Vanna, and she had this aha moment. And that was back in the fall. And so that was the first time I had met her, and then super excited when I found out she had certified. So it's nice to see them looking at their stuff and then going through that. I'm a teacher, but now I'm an accomplished teacher, and then that whole transitioning mode. So I met her at one of the state meetings in the same certification area as me.
So, Vanna, we're teachers, and so we give grades, and we have grades. And so one of my friends talks about National Board when she didn't make it as being on a roller coaster ride and everybody got off, but she stayed on. Mm-hmm. And so she said, but I've always liked that. Okay, it is a roller coaster ride. Yeah. But she said, I got to ride again. I didn't have enough of it the first time. So can you tell us a little bit what's going through your head at that point?
Well, when you don't certify, or if you don't, it's very devastating, I guess is the right word. I guess part of it too, I don't know if it's the teacher in me or just my personality, I had never really failed at something major that I had tried. I had done well in school. I had always gotten good grades. I had, always gotten into workshops I had applied for. And so I had experienced a lot of success as far as professionally. And so to not get it was like a total ego check, and like okay, this is not as easy as I thought it might be. Like I thought I had this in the bag, and you don't. But it's I don't remember who it was specifically, but a lot of people in the National Board world say it a lot, that it's not that you don't have it, it's that you don't have it yet. You haven't found the key yet. And so that was the key word that I kept in my mind, was that, I'm not getting off the roller coaster yet, but I will. And so really looking back at that feedback that they give you, and looking at where it is that I could improve, or where I could make little changes, or where I could tweak things, or how a lot of times it's how I worded things, stating the obvious that I just assume someone would get out of watching a video or looking at my things. But stating it and putting that into words is key for National Board. You have to spell it out for them.
And I think that is key to National Board, is that you know what you do, but to tell somebody else and to write it down so they can see it too is that piece of, okay, what do I do and how do I do that? So I think that's kind of that process of really getting that in. But now, and I always tell everybody when the scores come out, and I send this to everybody, and I hate, I want everybody to pass.
Right.
So those that don't the first time, I always say, go scream, go cry, go yell, go tear something up, because just do it, because I mean, we're going to get back on it. We're going to keep going. But then you did certify. So tell us how that day felt.
Well, it was like midnight. I was laying in bed and my husband's half asleep next to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's fireworks. And he's like, great. Okay. But getting to post that to social media and getting to share that with all my National Board family texting, my people that were in the National Board world with me, because you do build that camaraderie together as you're going through the process. Oklahoma has a great core group of support system for you, and I joined a couple of different national Facebook groups that were really supportive too. And so just getting to share that with those people that knew how much work that is. Some people, don't understand how much. They're like, oh yeah, cool, you got National Board, what does that even mean? But then those that do know really appreciate, and they know how much work that you put in and how much that means to finally accomplish that.
So I'm just going to ask, what is through the whole process, what was the part that you just did not, was maybe your least favorite part of National Board, or things that gave you the trouble that you didn't think it would?
Probably just understanding what they wanted. That's the hardest part for me, is I wanted them to tell me, what is it that you want from me? Like, what can I do better? And they do give some feedback, but it's very cryptic sometimes. And you just have to keep going back and reading those standards and reading those directions. I mean, I nearly had them memorized by the end of the process, because you just had to reread them and reread them and reread them. Because it's there, it's just, you really have to dig, because it's such an overwhelming amount of information. Sometimes it's hard to know where to look. But that was the hardest and most frustrating part for me. Like, I just wanted someone to tell me, this is what you need to do differently, or this is what you can do. And because National Board is a national process, you don't necessarily have that. It's not like a professor that you can go to and ask, like, what would you like me to do differently? It's a national thing. So you're talking about teachers all over the nation. And so you build that camaraderie, and the other teachers kind of help build you up and help guide you and give you some guidance from their point of view. And that was the most helpful, because that was the hardest part for me, was knowing what exactly they wanted.
And even though there's standards and directions, it really is you against you. And you don't, I think that when you finally figure that out, that it's like, oh, okay, this is what I said, but how did I prove that? Or, So what was the part that you really enjoyed about National Board?
I really enjoyed the fact that I walked away getting to know myself as a teacher more. I really was able to reflect on my practice and really know, man, that was a really good lesson, or, oh, that was a really not good lesson that I need to tweak and make changes. And not that I wasn't already doing that, but it's just different when you're looking at it through the lens of National Board. Like, I found myself almost every day thinking, okay, if I were filming for National Board, how would I rank this lesson? What could I have done differently, or how would I have behaved differently, or how would I have responded to that situation differently? So it's just a constant in the back of your head thought process that you're going through. Was I clear? Was I concise? Was I doing all the things that I need to do to be an effective teacher? Because at the end of the day, National Board does, it's almost like a process of finding out, how effective are you, and are you getting through to students and other colleagues too, your practice. And so that was the biggest gain for me, was being able to refine my practice and be able to reflect on how I'm doing.
I don't tell people, but I always tell people, I say, what's funny about it is you reflect when you go to the grocery store. Oh, did I do that right? Or should have I done this? We don't even go to the grocery store much, but
Yes.
it's everything. How could have I had that conversation a little bit better? Or what could have I done there? Because it changes you. So I'm going to ask, what's one thing that if someone's listening that you want them to know about National Board?
That's hard. Just the sense of pride and accomplishment once you do achieve, because you will if you keep trying. I think you really can achieve it. It's not for the faint of heart. You certainly have to invest time and energy and tears and hours of work. But at the end, the reward is worth it, I think, and just the pride and accomplishment of achieving that makes it worth it. And you just really feel like you're an accomplished teacher.
And I hope these podcasts are up long enough that the stipend comes back to Oklahoma. And, because right now it's hard to talk about National Board without thinking, it's a salary increase. But I think that we're just going to keep going and just thinking positive. That's going to come back and we're all going to be National Board certified.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I first started the process, it was a little bit of a pay increase, the same as a master's. And so that's kind of where which one should I do? And then by the time I got it, it's worth, I think, $75 or something a year. So,
Right.
But that wasn't why I was doing it. That was just an added bonus. It was more the accomplishment of being a National Board certified teacher.
And it is an important part, and we hope that it comes back at some point. So, Sherry, what's one thing that you want them to know about National Board? You have to answer it twice.
I know, same question twice. Okay. I don't remember what I said last time.
Well, you can say something different.
National Board, the National Board process is an opportunity for you to reflect on your teaching, become a better teacher. You build a ton of networking across the state. It is a free resource for candidates that are going through the process. And when you have regional meetings to go to and state meetings to go to, we have probably one of the biggest support systems across the nation that's free of charge. And some states, charge for those things. So if you're thinking about it, reach out to someone. We can guide you in the right direction. There's help along the way in every step of the process. And so if, just going through that process, it changes your mindset, it changes your teaching. It was mentioned earlier, we do it every day, but it's hard to write about it. It's hard to analyze our video. It's hard to reflect on it, but that is the process that makes you from just going in and being a teacher to transitioning to an accomplished teacher, where your mind is every second, okay, I could have done this different, or I'm going to do that different next time. And so it is one of the best professional growth experiences that I've had. And if I were to poll that, I would say the very high percentage of National Board certified teachers would agree with me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your conversations today.